Welcome to Highland Community College. This training session on the prevention of sexual harassment is presented by the HCC Office of Human Resources. Students, please note that a short quiz may be administered after this training. Highland Community College has, as a part of its overall mission, committed to providing you with a campus and workplace that is free from harassment, and to protect members of the college community who have been unlawfully harassed. As a part of that mission, this training was developed with the goal of providing you the tools to report and prevent sexual harassment and to ensure that you know what to do if you have been harassed. Unfortunately, sexual harassment is a reality in our society, both in school and in the workplace. Take a moment to read these statistics provided by the New York State Coalition Against Sexual Assault. Let's reread that last statistic. 56% of girls and 76% of boys, some of whom may be incoming college freshmen, believed forced sex was acceptable under some circumstances. What do you think? In order to prevent sexual harassment, we have to know what it is. As indicated here, sexual harassment is unwelcome verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that is so severe, pervasive, and offensive that it substantially interferes with a person's academic performance, employment, or equal opportunity to participate in or benefit from college programs or activities, or it creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive working or educational environment. According to the law, there are two types of sexual harassment. Quid pro quo is a Latin term that literally means this for that. Sexual favors or activities are demanded in exchange for employment or educational benefits. An example might be if someone is threatened in some way if they don't do something, or if a reward is implied if they do something. Hostile environment sexual harassment is a behavior that creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive learning or working environment. A hostile environment could be as simple as refusing to allow someone to leave a room. A victim does not have to be of the opposite sex of the harasser. These are some examples of sexual harassment that might be encountered. There are many cases of bullying that cross over into sexual harassment. Please read through this list and consider whether any of your past behaviors are noted, or whether you or someone you know has been the victim of one or more of the examples. As we watch the following film, think about each situation and whether it is or isn't sexual harassment. And if so, would it be hostile environment or quid pro quo sexual harassment?
Hi, I'm Greg Naylor, an employment law attorney who deals with sexual harassment lawsuits. I'd like to share with you some information about sexual harassment. Title IX of the Educational Amendments prohibits discrimination in educational programs and activities which receive federal funding. Students, faculty, and employees alike are entitled to an environment which is free from sexual harassment. You know, there's been so much said about sexual harassment that it can become very confusing. What exactly is it? How do I know if I might be harassing someone, or if somebody is being harassed? It doesn't need to be complicated. There are essentially two types of harassing conduct which are recognized under the law. The first type is called quid pro quo harassment. It's unwelcome sexual advances or requests for sexual favors in return for certain considerations like good grades or faculty advancement, or to avoid adverse consequences such as poor grades or demotions. The second is called hostile environment sexual harassment. This type is often more difficult to detect, but it's just as damaging and as illegal. Hostile environment harassment is unwelcome words or actions which focus on a person's sexuality and which is severe enough to create an offensive environment. We're going to be showing you several examples based upon true stories. Each incident may or may not be sexual harassment. See if you can tell if it is or if it isn't. At the end of each example, we'll give you a brief explanation of why it's either sexual harassment or it isn't.
Five minutes.
You wanted me?
Want you? Well, of course I want you, but we can talk about that later. What I actually had was a question on your essay.
Title IX prohibits professors and teachers from sexually harassing students. Overt sexual statements or innuendos can have the effect of causing a hostile environment. Here, the teacher's statements, if tied to similar types of conduct, could be considered as illegal harassment.
I don't know, Bob and I are kind of up in the air. How are you?
How long has it been with you guys?
Oh gosh, it's been like a year and a half, but it's been so often. Friday night, did you decide? What do you want?
You guys,
we're gonna go.
Here it comes.
Oh.
Here it comes.
You can still use a bit of work. Oh, he shows signs of improvement. Let's see. I'm sick.
Look at him like
Oh,
this.
my, aren't you generous
Well,
today?
he actually matches. Today looks better than yesterday.
Better luck tomorrow. Oh, now here comes a perfect 10.
Oh.
Oh, you know who that is? That's Mr. Daniels, our philosophy TA.
Oh.
Hey, Mr. Daniels. Hi.
Sororities, fraternities, or other campus-sponsored organizations and programs which receive federal funding are subject to the same legal requirements as the school itself. In this case, the male student obviously felt intimidated and offended by the women's rating system. If this kind of horseplay continues, it's well known, and the institution fails to act, this could be considered illegal sexual harassment.
I think Christy wants to see.
Christy wants to
Hello,
see you do.
Professor
Me.
Burns.
What a
Burns.
Looks like you got yourself some fans.
Yeah, right.
Well, your lectures must be better than mine. Something must be better than mine.
Title IX covers student-to-teacher harassment as well as teacher-to-student harassment. Clearly, the catcalls and the attention from the students and the other faculty members were unwelcome and they were unprofessional. In isolation, however, they probably wouldn't be considered severe and pervasive enough to be illegal harassment.
What's he talking about?
I don't know. Her boyfriend has in the car accident with played for you.
Oh, you leaving? Okay. Bye-bye.
What's the matter?
Oh, he's so disgusting.
Ignore him.
Yeah, right. He goes out of his way just to be a jerk.
Educational institutions must be aware that they could be held liable for the actions of their staff and employees toward each other or toward students. Here, this custodial employee is acting in a sexually offensive manner. Also, this apparently isn't the first time that he's made these students the target of his gestures. This case could be considered hostile environment sexual harassment.
Oh, hey, Conrad. You're looking fine tonight. Hi. Oh, did I mention to you that men aren't allowed on this floor?
Yeah, you've mentioned it a lot. Every day, as a matter of fact.
A smart one. I like 'em smart. I like you.
Listen, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're kind of bugging me. So, if you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, okay?
No problem.
Thanks.
Oh, don't use all the hot water. I'm kind of feeling like a shower myself.
In this situation, the comments made are very ambiguous and probably would not be considered as sexually harassing. Unfortunately, in our sometimes difficult world, there are times when we all need to endure the slights and discourtesies which are handed to us by others.
There you are. Are you hiding from me again?
No, studying like I told you.
Oh, I know. I just figured maybe, you want to go get something to eat. You look kind of tired.
Oh, I can't. Really, I have to read this.
Come on. When are you finally going to break down and go out with me?
How many times do I have to say no to you?
I don't know, 10, 15, until you say yes.
I don't have time for this. I've got finals, okay?
Well, then how about I'll just call you tonight? Okay? About 8 o'clock? I gotta run, but I'll see you then.
Three new messages. I won't stop calling until you take me out. You don't know what you're missing, but I do, Dan. Call me. Let's talk, Dan. Are you ignoring me? Dan.
Student-to-student harassment is the least recognized type of sexual harassment under Title IX. However, an institution's failure to act in defense of a victimized student could be viewed as the cause of an injury by the court. If this woman reports the incidents to the institution and it fails to act, this could be considered illegal sexual harassment.
Mr. D, didn't you pick up the book you reserved this morning?
Yes, I did. But I just wanted to stop back again and ask the prettiest librarian around to dinner.
Oh, like I said, I can't.
A big filet, a little conversation. What could be better?
Oh, I've got to get this stuff checked in right away.
Not so fast. No, I like it slow.
I'm a student, and you're a teacher. It's not a good mix.
I think it's a good mix. You learn, I mentor.
This could be considered as sexual harassment under Title IX. The professor mentioned that he stopped by at least once before. He continues to press her, and his comments could be reasonably interpreted as sexual in nature. The student made it clear she isn't interested in his offers, and yet he continues to solicit her.
Hey, isn't that Sims? Professor Sims?
Yeah, I had him last semester.
I have him now. He seems to go out quite a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes out all the time. Trust me, the better you score with him here, the better you'll score in class. Seriously. You're a little tall for him, but hey, what the heck, you might give it a shot, you know?
You're disgusting.
Why? It's true.
How did you get an A in his class anyhow?
A professor can create liability for sexual harassment if it's proven that he or she demanded sexual favors in return for good grades or passing marks. This type of harassment is called quid pro quo. On the other hand, voluntary sexual relationships between students of age and faculty are not in violation of the law, although many schools have policies which prohibit this type of interaction.
Okay, that's the end of class for today, if you're finished with the problem. And I'll see you on Thursday. How you doing?
Doing good.
Okay. How you doing?
I'm stuck.
You know, you really need to compute the principal component that's needed to repay this amount over a specified period of time. Here, let me show you.
Please don't do that.
Just relax. You know, that's probably why you're struggling with this.
Touching a student or a coworker is asking for trouble, a real invitation for a harassment charge.
Constant interest rate.
The woman was quite uncomfortable and
Don't do
objected
that.
to the teacher's touching. Yet he persisted even when she told him she didn't like being touched. This situation has a great potential for producing a sexual harassment charge.
You son of a bee.
I think it'd be more accurate to say daughter.
Here, read this.
Is it possible that our handsome Republican partisan and sometimes university staff writer, Jeff Jenkins, has found an odd bedtime companion in Democratic campaign strategist Maria Fresnick? Stranger things have been done to procure a bit of inside information. This seems to be written by you, Liz. Any words you wish to share?
No, just a rhetorical question.
One of the foundational cornerstones of our educational institutions is academic freedom, which is based largely upon the Constitution's right to freedom of speech. A newspaper journalist is free to use satire to raise a question, perhaps even when someone could read sexual overtones into it. Still, a word of caution is in order here. Carried to the extreme, a school and the writer could be held liable for harassment, and the writer could also be held liable for defamation as well. By now, we hope you have a pretty good idea of what sexual harassment is. But you might be asking yourself, so what do I do about it? Well, if you feel you've been harassed or you know of someone who has been, consult with your school's policies and procedures and take action to get the behavior stopped. If you recognize any of your past or your present behaviors in any of these scenes, stop for a moment and ask yourself if you would have acted the same way in front of a loved one, your boss, or a TV camera. Let's review the main points. First, Title IX of the Educational Amendments prohibits sex discrimination and harassment in educational programs or activities which receive federal funding. Educational institutions are responsible for preventing illegal harassment. The first type of sexual harassment is called quid pro quo. It's unwelcome sexual advances or requests for sexual favors in return for certain considerations like good grades or faculty promotions, or to avoid adverse consequences such as failing grades or demotions. The most common and most difficult to detect form of harassment is hostile environment sexual harassment, where verbal and nonverbal behaviors focus on the sexuality of another person and the conduct is unwelcome. If you think you or someone else is being sexually harassed, immediately report the incident according to your school's policies. Remember, it's not only your right to be free from sexual harassment, but it's also your responsibility to help build an academic environment which is free from this type of illegal behavior.
Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 clearly states that consent must be present in all sexual activities. So what is consent? Consent is agreeing to or giving permission to another person to do something. Consent cannot be inferred from the absence of a no. A clear yes, verbal or otherwise, is necessary. Consent to some sexual acts does not imply consent to others, nor does past consent to a given act imply present or future consent. Consent is not the silence or failure to resist or the absence of a no, nor is it implied when one is asleep or unconscious, no matter what type of relationship between the individuals previously. And finally, if consent is withdrawn, whether verbally or through actions, the sexual act is no longer consensual and must stop immediately. As indicated in the previous slide, if an individual is incapacitated, they are unable to give consent. These are some signs that an individual may be incapacitated: slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, the smell of alcohol on their breath, shaky equilibrium, vomiting, incoherent speech, or the inability to follow a conversation or thought, unusual behavior, or unconsciousness. If you engage in a sexual activity with someone who is incapacitated, you are putting yourself at risk of being accused of committing an act of sexual violence. If you yourself are a victim of sexual violence, or if you witness sexual violence, call 911. If you are being sexually harassed, try to get the harasser to stop by telling them the behavior is unwelcome. If you can't do it face-to-face, send them an email or a text. But whatever you do, document it so that you will have a record of it if you file a grievance with the Human Resource Manager. These grievances are taken very seriously, and all reports will be immediately investigated. Employees who are aware of sexual harassment, whether told to them by a student or fellow employee, or whether they have witnessed such behavior, must report the incident to Human Resources even if the victim does not want them to. The law states that if an employee knows about it, then the college knows about it. It must be noted that a person is free to report an incident or file a grievance without fear of retaliation. Retaliation includes harassment, intimidation, threats, or any other adverse action against the person filing the complaint, or a third party who may be a witness, or for simply speaking out against illegal discrimination in the workplace. Highland Community College recognizes the right of employees and students to express their grievances and seek a solution concerning disagreements arising from sexual harassment, discrimination, working conditions, violations of policy, and employment practices. The HCC grievance policy and procedure may be found in the HCC Student Handbook, Personnel Policies, or a copy may be requested from the HCC Human Resource Office. The Human Resources Office is located on the second floor of the HCC Administration Building on the Highland campus. You may contact Human Resources by phone, by email, or in person. Regular office hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sexual harassment is a behavior, and adults are responsible for their own behavior. Do not ignore the behavior if someone is harassing you. It will not go away on its own. If someone tells you that your behavior makes them uncomfortable, respect their feelings. Even if you honestly did not intend to offend anyone, your behavior may still be construed as harassment. If you see sexual harassment occurring, even if you are not the victim, report the incident. It is your responsibility as an adult to treat others with respect and to expect that you will be treated in the same manner. Doing so will ensure a school and work environment that is free from sexual harassment. It is HCC's sincere hope that you will never have to file a grievance because of someone else's behavior. But be assured, we are ready to help you if you must. We also hope that we will never have to investigate you because of your behavior. Have a wonderful year and go Scotties.